Hi friends, let's make this adorable, whimsical little snowman using items you probably have lying around your house. So let's get started. So I've got this 3-inch styrofoam ball. You can get them, I bought them in a 6-pack at Hobby Lobby, but you can get them at the Dollar Tree as well. And they figure out to be about the same price both places. And so I'm using this really chunky chenille yarn that I got at Hobby Lobby, and just going round and round and round and covering the entire styrofoam ball, making sure the rows are really close to each other and that there's no styrofoam showing. So I just start at the top and just work my way down to the bottom and glue it all in there really well. And that's going to be his head, of course. And now I'm using a paper towel holder roll and some scrap chipboard. You can use cardboard, whatever you have on hand, and I'm just using one of my smaller bowls. And I traced it, and I'm just going to cut just inside of that. And you can make the rim of his hat any size you want. I made mine quite big, actually. I kind of like the whimsical, funny look of it. But you can make it any size you want. And I first thought about cutting the size of the circle of the paper towel roll in the center of the hat, cutting that out, but I decided not to. I'm just going to glue it right on top of it when I'm ready. So there's where I decided not to. But I do need just another piece of chipboard that size, and that will be the top of the hat. And I'm using some red and white ticking fabric that I got at Hobby Lobby. I use that for a lot of projects. Just straightening out the piece that I cut of this paper towel roll. I'll set all that aside, and I'm going to start by gluing the circles onto the back of my ticking. And I leave about an inch or so around the edge of it. And that's where I will glue that up and over the edge of it. So I cut the circle. Now I'm cutting little flaps, I guess you could call it, all the way around, and that makes it easier and less bumpy when you glue all those flaps up and over. Doing the same on the bottom the small little circle. Just gluing a little bit, putting a few flaps up, glue a little bit more until you go all the way around. Same thing on this big one. Try not to burn yourself like I did. So as you can see, I put 2 or 3 inches of glue and then push the flaps up, then do it again until I go clear around the circle. After I get all those flaps glued on to the bottom, I'm going to trace the circle on my ticking fabric again and cut out a piece just slightly smaller, and I will glue that on top of those flaps. I'm just securing all that down, making sure I got it adhered really well everywhere. So here's where I'm going to trace that circle. Oh, first, pardon me, I've got to cover this paper towel roll. So I'm just getting a rectangle piece large enough to go clear around it and a lot wider. And here's I'm cutting out the circle. That will just finish off the underneath side of his rim, of the rim of his hat. Is it rim or is it brim? Maybe both. And there was a couple spots that after I glue it, it needed trimmed because it hung over the edge just slightly. But I glue it down first. This just gives it a nice finished look, so when you look underneath, you don't see that all those raw edges and the chipboard. Now I'm just going to put a bunch of glue down the center of that and roll it up. Then I'm going to tuck some glue all the way around the inside of that paper towel roll, and then push all that extra fabric down in there and glue it in there. Same on the other end. Just get all that secured down there and make sure it's going to fit in the center. And then I'm going to glue that little circle piece on the top there. So I'm just making sure that looks all right, and then I'm going to glue that piece in the center. Off camera, I used this chenille red yarn from Dollar Tree, and I put it around the bottom of that small round piece and then all around the brim. And now I'm doing the same thing, putting it all around the top part of the hat. This hides all the seams and the uneven edges and just kind of gives it a finished look, I think. So now I'm just trying to decide what area looks the best to be the top and the front. And I'm just flattening out that top part a bit, just cutting off some excess chenille and making it a little bit more flat. This gives it more area to glue down. So I'm going to put quite a generous layer of glue, hot glue. Then I'm going to place that hat on there and kind of push it down and hold it. I even kind of blow on it a little bit so it'll set up quicker. And then I decided it needed a little bit more chenille all around the edge of the head and where it connects to the top or to the bottom of the underneath part of the hat. So I'm just going one row all the way around there and pushing it in. So now I'm getting 6 of these small little half beads. I get these on Amazon, and then I've got a package of these small little wooden biscuits. I think I got those on Temu, but I'm not 100% sure. I know you can get them there and Amazon. And so I'm grabbing 2 of those and 6 of the half round beads. And I'm going to paint them black, and those are going to be the eyes and the mouth. So I'm just using regular acrylic paint, just cutting up a small little piece of makeup sponge. You get those on Amazon as well. So I'm just trying to get some black paint. It's almost gone, so just trying to get it out on my sponge and just painting and trying to cover the entire pieces. Like I said, I had a hard time getting it out, so I had to shake it down. Trying to make sure I get all the edges of all the way around those half beads. And of course cover the entire part of the oblong pieces for the eyes, giving them a quick dry, and then I will set those out of my way for a moment. So I got these carrots at Dollar Tree in the spring. And I bought them, saving them for snowman noses. So I just kind of flatten the end there, cut it off, decide where I want my nose, and I'm just gluing him right in the center there and hold him till he's set. Now I'm using these Posca markers. These are actually acrylic paint in a marker form. They're a game changer for me. So instead of getting out my white acrylic paint, I can just draw lines and dots on as needed. So these have been awesome. Using the white and just drawing a line and a couple dots in each eye. Thought I better give them a dry, but they're so light they fly away, so you can't get the blower too close to them. So now I'm just getting them all off the tape and ready to glue on. So I'm just kind of placing them and doing one at a time. Pushing them in there. And I've got 6, so I kind of put the 2 center ones even. And then I'll go up slightly on each side till I make a smile for him. Pick off all those glue strings that hang all over. And he's almost got his face on. Now I need to just position and glue the eyes. Isn't he adorable? So now I'm going to decorate the top of his hat. I've got this pine garland that I also get on Amazon. It's a wired garland. So I'm just going to use my wire cutters and cut a piece off. And I was first trying to decide how to do it. And I decided to cut that into 2 pieces, bend them both in half. And then I'm going to put them both in the center there, poke in both directions. Hold them there until the glue sets. And now I'm going to use some twine and just wrap it around my fingers. So there's 3 loops on each side. Leave a little bit of a couple tails, and then I'm just kind of gathering it in the middle. I usually wrap one of the tails around the center, but for this one I just glued it all in because the center's not even going to show anyway, because now I've got those few loops of twine. Now I'm going to just make a regular shoestring bow out of this red and white striped ribbon I got at Hobby Lobby. And it's kind of a velvety texture. I really like this ribbon. Putting that right in the center of the twine. Now I'm going to get one of my rusty bells and glue right in the center of that bow. And I was trying to decide if this was enough or not, and it kind of is, but I decided I'm going to put a little bow below his mouth, just underneath where his chin should be. So I'm just tearing off a strip of that same ticking and trying to decide how I want to do my bow. So I decided to use part of it and just do kind of an awareness bow, then gather it in the center with some twine. I wrap it around several times and tie it in the back in a knot. And then I'll just cut that excess pieces of twine off. This procedure makes a really cute, just basic bow. And I didn't get it quite in the center, so I had to kind of play with it a little bit and move it to get it where I wanted it. Trim up the tails. Now I'm just gluing it at his chin area. So cute. I'm loving how it's turning out. And lastly, I just decided to put a brown and tan button on the center of that bow. I guess almost lastly, there's one more thing I'm going to be doing. So to make this a hanging ornament, I was debating how to do this. So I gathered a good length of twine and tied a knot at the very end and cut it a little bit so the knot is really close to the end. And then I'm just putting a dab of glue right in the center of that top hat. And then I'm going to hold that knot, glue it in there, hold it where I want it to stay. And that worked out perfectly. I love how he turned out. I think this would look darling hanging on a tree or a doorknob. And one more thing, I decided to put a little tag on. So I grabbed another piece of that chipboard, cut it in a small little rectangle piece, and then I'm using my little letter stamps and stamping burr with the B and the R. I'm gonna probably should have put this underneath the button first, but I didn't think of it until after. So I'm just using Tim Holtz Distress ink, going around all the edges, and now I'm just going to kind of slide it in as best I can underneath that button that I already glued there, and it worked out just fine. Just kind of holding it and sticking it in there, pushing it where I want it to go. And he looks adorable. And I appreciate you so much watching. I appreciate the support. Please like and subscribe, and you have a whimsical day.